Yeah, you go ahead and lay down. You lay down right there. You all got all that shit in your fur. Come out in the garage and the cats go crazy, dude. They love it out here. But it's nice and rainy. It's a nice thunderstorm. I've got the door open to the house. Honestly, it should be cracked, and one of my animals has opened it all the way, but I'm not going to complain right now while I'm making this video. But my kitten's insane. But just wanted to do a quick overview of the finished upper, dude. I finally got it done. I actually made a what I would describe as a clusterfuck of a video earlier, kind of in the middle of the process, and although I had all the parts and I was confident in my abilities to complete said final assembly, I was still a nervous wreck doing it. It just made me anxious because there's so many different opinions about this, and you know what? I'm not even going to post me doing it. One, because YouTube's probably going to flag it anyway, and two, because nobody really should take that as like a model to build off of, or like as like a how-to guide to build an AR upper. This is, after all, my first complete upper build. I have removed, Pooja, you're gonna have to, there, just roll that way, there you go. I have removed the barrel off of my PSA upper, or removed the barrel nut and the handguard and put, which, pain in the ass, by the way, I removed that, not to go off on a tangent too much here, but I'm going to go off on a bit of one just because that's how unfortunately, the way I am. But there's the kitten. There's Jake and Pooja. But he's about to get Pooja. He's about to fuck my cord up. What? Let me just unplug this. But I did get back to the topic at hand, AR uppers. I did remove, like I said, the handguard on my PSA upper to replace it with Midwest Industries. That was an A2 with a A2 front sight, with a Delta ring, barrel nut, and the clamshell and all that. Clamshell quad rail it was. But I took it off, and I did that with I think I used a torque wrench. I maybe didn't even use a torque wrench, maybe just a breaker bar, and a normal bench vise. I just clamped at the time, and I still have it and use it, my Sig Sauer Romeo 5 red dot, clamped to here, and clamped all of that in the vise to avoid squeezing the upper here too much. Dude, it was a clusterfuck. Anyway, I got it done with those tools. But that's the limit of my experience, is straight up Bubba, gunsmithing in a workshop that had nothing to do with working on guns or anything like that. So I don't want people to watch my video of me assembling this the right way, how I see it, and thinking that they should follow suit and do things the way I'm doing it, because like I said, I'm not a professional and I don't want to pawn off that I am. That being said, I think things went pretty well. Through the anxiety and through the the clusterfuck that this table turned into, maybe I'll put a picture of that in, probably not. I think I did a decent job. So went with the BCM, and if you've seen my videos before this, you already know the assembly of this gun. So, but that being said, I did take my go-to BCG and charging handle and go ahead and drop it in this upper. But it goes as follows: BCM ThermoFit upper receiver, Geisley 13 or 13.5 inch, can't remember, super modular handguard in dark desert tan, I think is what they call it. And then the barrel is a Criterion Core 14.5 inch. It's chrome lined. I can't remember the gas journal size, but it's 1 in 8 twist. Very nice barrel. Criterion is kind of held as the go-to barrel right now, at least in the market, aside from the greats. Like Geisley FN is still a good barrel too, that I've from my research. This is not speaking from experience. The only experience behind ARs I have is my father's, which was a pre-ban AR that he put together when he was in his 30s probably, which I just turned 30 this year, or last year, and And so that, and then my PSA upper and my KAK 8.5 inch 300 blackout upper, which, I mean, that's, have not shot targets with that gun. Just shot straight up trash, shot at trash at the range. So that's the extent. We went over the extent of my gunsmithing background. That's the extent of my actual usage of this kind of firearm and different barrels and stuff. So when I say that Geisley and FN and Criterion, Roscoe, my cats are hissing, and Ballistic Advantage are like the go-tos, at least from what I can tell, with doing, cumulative years of research. I will say that I have more, cumulative years of research than I do years of shooting. It's just a lot easier shooting or gunsmithing. It's a hell of a lot easier to read some articles and watch some YouTube videos than it is to go shoot at the range or work on an upper. So if there's anything I've spent time, a decent amount of time doing, it's research. But that's pretty much it. Gas block, where I leave off on the barrel. Gas block is a low profile BCM gas block. It's got 2 set screws on the bottom down here. You can kind of see those. This barrel did come dimpled from Criterion, which is awesome. It makes it really easy to line everything up. The gas tube, Spikes Tactical mid-length, just because it was black and on sale. I wanted a black gas tube. I didn't want to see it in the rail. I didn't want to see the silver in there. That being said, I had a black spring to go here and ended up just using the silver one. And really none of that matters, because once I vet this upper and make sure it runs and is going to perform at least as 90% of what I want it to do, I'm going to spray paint this gun, the everything. I've got the lower on the way. I actually did end up ordering a Geisley trigger as well. I have a Geisley buffer tube and Super 43 buffer spring and weight, or buffer spring, and then I think either an H3 or an H2 buffer weight. I assume I'm going to have to kind of tune this. I mean, to what extent I'm going to need to tune this, I don't know. Probably not a whole lot, because it's a mid-length system on a 14.5 inch barrel. It's in a standard length buffer tube. It should be, maybe, I mean, I can't really tune shit, actually. I can only change between probably an H3 or an H2 buffer weight, considering I don't have an adjustable gas block. I don't have an adjustable BCG. It's just, it is what it is. I'm sure muzzle devices have somewhat of an effect. I don't know how major on, the cycling of the gun. That being said, A2, again, as standard as it can possibly get, pretty much. So hopefully I won't have too much tuning to do. But once I know it's reliable, once I know it's going to be kind of like my go-to rifle, I'm going to paint it. I'm going to try and have the, what am I trying to say? I'm going to try and have the, I'm going to try and paint it the color of my environment. I'm going to try and have some self-control over the cans of paint and not just do some cool desert, FDE style scheme on this as much as I want to. I did order an FDE lower, which, not gonna lie, and I'm sure you already know what I'm about to say, it does fucking bother me, because if I got the matching FDE Geisley or DDT, whatever their coding color is, upper receiver, I'd really be inclined not to paint it, just because that's a hot ass look when you have a full matching Geisley, exoskeleton, if you want to call it that, with the Super 43, or the buffer tube that I have is like a green. It's anodized green from Geisley. It'd have been a very handsome gun. I do plan on, and I've gone back and forth with this, I really wanted an LPVO, but honestly, as far as just keeping this thing somewhat cost effective, because I have tried to do that by sourcing blim, paid full price for the barrel, but the upper and the handguard are both blims, and the lower as well once I get it. I think I'm going to go with a Neotech and a riser, and probably a magnifier down the road. that setup does start to creep up into the, because what's an EOTech, $600, a Unity or some other riser is going to be another $200, the magnifiers maybe $400, and then another mount for that $200 more dollars, so $800. You know, we're well into the close, we're creeping up on 2000, and it is, you know, that is where you can start getting some good glass on some LPVOs. But I don't know, it's tough. Once I get an LPVO, that's just for the LPVO though as well. You know, you're going to spend a couple $1,000s on a good one. You're going to need a mount. Geisley mounts on sale are almost $300. I would definitely want to go with something like that. So that's pushing you well into the 2000s. And if I'm going to get an LPVO, everyone knows if you have an LPVO, you have to, if you want to be cool and have an LPVO, you have to run a piggyback red dot. And if I'm going to run a piggyback red dot, it ain't going to be a cheap Chinese Holosun. I'm sorry. I love Holosun. I have them on my guns, on my pistols. But if this is going to be like a main rifle, I'm going to go like RMR. Or if I was feeling really bougie, RCR. That's $400 to $600 more dollars. And then if I don't already have a scope mount that has the mount on that, I'll have to get the top mount that, like, I think, what's it called? The people that do the Arasaka makes one, I think. Don't quote me on that. It's just going to get really expensive really fast. That would be, you know, $3,000 something sitting on top of my gun that I ended up, you know, spending on parts wise. Let's see, this was like $350, $100, so $550, probably sub $1,000 or right at $1,000 on, which is pretty cool. I guess that doesn't include the charging handle, which is another fucking $100 because it's had to be bougie and get the Radian. Got the Landtac BCG, but I got that when I worked at the gun shop, so I got a good deal on that too. It is, I don't know, I'm probably creeping up closer to $1,200, but still, I mean, for a Geisley with a 14.5 Criterion core, and all that, pretty good. Actually, I forgot that I ordered the trigger. I'm gonna put the Geisley trigger in this as well. That was only $160 though, so let's call it an even $1,350 is probably about what I'm going to be into this rifle for the base rifle. No sling, no optics, no handguards. I did just order the Daifrico Kung Fu grip for this, so I'm excited to try that out. I have one that's the Magpul KO2 Plus or whatever, that's got like the rubberized grip. It's more of a like vertical grip angle instead of really swept back like an A2. But yeah, like $1,350 into the rifle, I'd feel really, considering I'm not, you know, a precision shooter and this is not a precision gun, I'd feel kind of like an asshole putting a $3,000 plus LPVO on this, and that even being, you know, kind of an entry level to lower mid price range for LPVOs. Long story, super fucking long. I'm going with an EOTech and magnifier because they're bulletproof and inexpensive, relatively. You know, like I said, it's going to be creeping up on like $1,000 or whatever for the whole EOTech magnifier setup, maybe more. I'm just kind of spitballing this off the top of my head. What I remember stuff being, you know, $400 in mounts, if it's a couple $100 a piece for mounts. If I get them on sale, maybe less, maybe they're $50 more, give or take. So give or take, let's do $450 for mounts, $600 for an EOTech. Let's do $650. Let's round up from what I'm actually thinking. You know, that's $1,100 right there, and then the magnifier, which is $300, so $1,500 round way up. Whereas, like I said, I'd be well into $3,000 for an LPVO and red dot setup. You know, and somebody will argue that if you get an LPVO that's a 1 power, you can just run it like that. But the eye box on those, I haven't shot with one, but I have looked through several, and it just, I don't know, it, considering you can pop the magnifier off the back, and you know, EOTechs are pretty vetted. They do have that delamination issue, but at the same time, they're also better for astigmatism. So I'm weighing my pros and cons here on optic setup. Actually, and I said I don't have a Sling. I do have one on the way. I have an Edgar Sherman and FDE. Just try that out. It was on sale at Primary Arms for like $24.99, which is I think they regularly like 40 to 45 bucks, which already is kind of ridiculous to me for a Sling. These companies that are charging like the Blue Force gear, I think on sale today at Primary Arms was 120 bucks. Dude, that's you will not catch me dead with a $160 MSRP Sling, even if it's on sale for 100 bucks. That's, dude, it's a literal strip of nylon with some buckles on it. There ain't much you can fucking innovate with one of those. And considering the likely setup I'll go with is paracord on the ends, dude, I'm not spending, dude, $164 is I think what it was before the discount on Primary Arms. That's fucking crazy, dude. That's wild. So not gonna do that. So I got the Edgar Sherman on the way. But yeah, this thing will be set up pistol style with a SB3 brace. The Geisley lower that I have coming is a stripped lower, so I'm gonna build that out into a pistol, and that'll be it. That'll be my main rifle for hopefully a long time. I was going to say until something breaks, but I mean, hopefully until I shoot the barrel out, which hopefully, I mean, I do kind of hope I do that because that would be cool, but hopefully the Criterion chrome lined, go to for fucking everybody barrel lasts quite a while, a few years at least. I say that like I'm going to shoot, 10,000 rounds a year, which, I'm not going to shoot that much. But anyway, this is it. Like I said, Lantac, BCG, Radian Raptor charging handle. I have an Arrow BCG. I've got a PSA BCG. I've got like a, what is it? The brand with Tool in the name, I think. I can't remember. BCGs. The staking on this one looks pretty damn good. It's got that rounded like phosphate or bronze phosphorus whatever cam pin. Does that make a huge difference? I don't know. It's not dual extractor, which I would like to get a dual extractor bolt for this, but like I said, until I really start having issues with anything, I'm probably going to stick with this setup. Radian Raptor, fucking overpriced as fuck, but looks cool, vetted. And the rest of the build as I've gone over it. So that's pretty much it. I can't believe it's actually put together. I seasoned the barrel nut. I used my aeroshell grease. I did lap it. I don't know if I mentioned that. I did lap this upper as well because the general consensus online essentially seems like it doesn't matter. Some people say they've had to lap some people don't. Some people say it's not as accurate as the machining. Some people say that it doesn't matter the machining, it's the coating. And I figured if it doesn't matter enough to lap it, it won't hurt if I fucking lap it. So I lapped it. And I will say everything looks as straight as it can, like at eyeballing it. So, take that, as you will. But looking down the barrel, which I get to do for a little while until I get a lower receiver put on it. I mean, I can just pop the upper off and look down the barrel anytime I want. But looking down the barrel, everything looks like it lines up very well. Let's see. I wonder if I can get you guys a view of that real quick. I think I can. Show you guys what the down the scope looks like. Down the scope, down the barrel. See if I can center you guys up. But I mean, it doesn't, not that you would be able to visually notice a difference if the upper was out, 1/100th or whatever it would have been with a bad Cerakote or phosphate, whatever finish job that BCM uses. But you know, if it was out enough, you'd be able to tell, and it'd be time to take this thing back apart and go with a different upper receiver. But anyway, oh, I also did this without buying the Midwest Industries version of the reaction rod. The way I did it was I actually got a couple new tools. I got a new torque wrench, because apparently my old Harbor Freight one that's, you know, treated me so well for the past, piece of sharp ass plastic, for the past 15 or so years, shit the bed and I forgot about it. So I went and got a new Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh, what is it? What did I just said it. Torque wrench. And then I got these, which these are the Icon, which is Harbor Freight version of the Knipex, and that is how you say it. That's how the Germans say it. Watch any of their videos, Knipex. It's like the cheap version, except these were $40. But what I did, and this is probably going to be controversial, and if you are scared that it's going to be different than the way you put your AR-15 together and you think you did it right, close your ears, or just know that I know I'm wrong in the way I did this. But what I did, and this was such a pain in the dick, dude. So I had the upper receiver all put together. You know, I got it as a stripped upper. No forward assist installed. It came with the forward assist, but no forward assist installed. No dust cover installed. And so the other night, I did install the dust cover and the forward assist. Just punch that pin in there, set that up. It was the first time I've had to do that. Was not that bad. Did not scratch up the receiver. Used a bunch of painter's tape and installed this as well. But then I went to install the barrel and torque the barrel nut. And my plan to do that had been, because I bought the Geisley reaction rod. It was on sale, I think for $90, or I ended up spending like $95 for it. I can't remember if it's on sale. I didn't realize it didn't have the sail that will actually hold the upper as well. So it's only holding the barrel extension, which is fine for torquing muzzle devices, but not the best for torquing barrel nuts, because it allows the barrel to turn still in the upper. And while most of the pressure is on the upper, a lot of that pressure is also on the shoulder of the barrel, arguably more, or just as much actually, I mean, as on the upper. And, well, no, it'd be more on the upper because you got all the threads anyway. A significant amount of force on the shoulder turning clockwise. So my goal, or my idea, was to, you know, the reaction rod already shipped, was to get a upper receiver vice block, which is not going to fit now, I just realized, because of the rail that's on it, and essentially clamp this in the vise with the vice block. I got this for $16 off Amazon, and they are made pretty well. I'd recommend them. Did the job for me. And then put the reaction rod in there, and take these, which I actually got these to do the pin, the roll pin, and the gas block, and they worked extremely well for that. Thank you, AT3, their installation video. That's how I ended up doing that one. Go watch that if you haven't. If you want to see how people actually are supposed to put shit together, watch someone else on YouTube. I'm not going to recommend AT3 or whatever tactical for everything, but their trick for the gas block worked for me. But I realized I could hold, and I used this because I had it at the time after I bought it to do the gas block, but I was going to use whatever pair of pliers at the time. Hold the reaction, this is clamped in the vice block, hold the reaction rod on it. It's got flats so you can vise it on the reaction rod. Hold on to those while it's slid in the upper receiver, and then just keep tension on that. You know, not put tension the other way, but because I don't want to like fuck up the goal here is to hold the upper and the barrel perfectly still so that you don't shear off the indexing pin. So my goal is to hold the reaction rod still and tighten to 50 foot-pounds, which is what Geisley calls for, the barrel nut. And so that's exactly what I did, and it worked really well. The only problem with that is when you have, see, the Midwest Industries deals with this by having, you know, the sail in there. So, you know, when it pushes through and pushes your dust cover open, it doesn't matter, because all you have is that sail holding the upper, whatever, piece that's going, that acts like the bolt going into the barrel, holds everything in place. But when you do a setup like this, like a combination, and I got this from School of the American Rifle. I can't remember. You might want to look up his video on like AR-15 upper tools or whatever. But he mentioned that the way he does it, or the way he does it, or like gets students to do it. Sometimes I can't remember. Watch his video. To make it as foolproof as possible, is to use the Midwest Industries reaction rod in the upper with the sail in the this channel, the charging handle channel, and then block it in the vise like this. And so you have the upper being held still by the vise, the Midwest Industries rod going through the middle, and the vise will actually put a little more tension on the rod in the middle. It'll hold everything just that much more still. It's still not foolproof entirely, but it's like the most foolproof like way. And so that's what I did. And I can't remember in his video, but I started to do that. You can't fucking do that with the dust cover on, because the reaction rod will not fit in the upper with the dust cover closed. And with the dust cover even just propped open, these won't clamp correctly. You're bending up the dust cover, you fold the dust cover down, same story. It doesn't work with the blocks. So what I had to do was take the dust cover back off, tighten the barrel nut, and I thought to myself at the time, I'll take the C-clamp off here and install the dust cover pin this way. But then when I got the barrel nut on, seasoned and torqued to spec, I go to do that, and the forward assist, so if you have an AR without a forward assist, you probably do this much easier, was in the fucking way. So I couldn't get the pin in. Long story long, again, I did end up just forcing it in this way, because it's not, the end of the world to do that. And it may have left like maybe a little surface imperfection on here, but honestly, the coatings on this stuff from BCM is so good, I don't think it really left anything. I mean, it's that pin, and there's probably some marking on the pin. I would say that's marking there. That's just a reflection of the light. It's not down the metal even close. There you go. There's a little spot that's down the metal. This was a blim anyway. Nothing on there. So I'm really happy about that. And then I had to put the C-clamp on with everything like this. I mean, I had the hand guard off, but it wasn't hard because I actually used this as well. I went and taped up the upper receiver and just put that on the bottom like that. And then, you see what I'm saying. Like, put this flat on the bottom of the upper, that flat on top of the C-clamp, and squeezed it on there. Worked like a charm. It's actually a really cool tool. That's how I did it. I'm sure somebody just had an aneurysm somewhere. Somebody on Facebook just somebody on Facebook's head just exploded, and nobody knows why, because I just described the way I did this. But it's sure as hell a lot better than the way I did my PSA rifle, and that shoots a decent group at 100 yards. Not gonna lie. So probably sub 3 MOA, 2-ish MOA, which I'm not gonna complain. Mil spec is 4 MOA. Considering the things I've done to that gun, pretty good outcome. So hoping for at least that good with this, hoping for a lot better with this, which chrome lined barrels tend to be less accurate from, like I said, from my research, but Criterion claims to have, a very polished, pun fully intended process for chrome lining, and they have good accuracy and good lifespan. So, but that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to shoot this thing. I'm probably going to put my Romeo 5 up on top and see if I can just zero that in at 100 yards, see what we're looking like about, until I can get my Unity mounts, and which I say I'm going to get Unity mounts. I don't know. That's one thing I haven't researched too much, are mounts. I know Unity's a good brand. I know Geisley makes good stuff. I don't know if they make like one of the small Unity style risers for the EOTech, which I've also not used, which is going to suck if I hate using that that riser on that EOTech and don't like a more chin weld style cheek weld, but I do think I will like that a little more of an upright position. I think that's a little more ergonomic. One thing I know I hate is trying to press my chin or my cheek into the stock as hard as I can just to get the eye box correct on the scope. That sucks and is very uncomfortable. So hopefully I like the risers that I get. You know, you're not gonna know till you try. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll get something cheap and see how I like it. I mean, I will say, I guess my my Romeo 5 is sitting up quite a bit on a riser, and I do like that. Yeah, who knows? But that's it. That's it. That's all she wrote. Super stoked. Let me know in the comments how bad I fucked up putting this thing together. And I'll let you know if it fucking matters, because I'm gonna go shoot it soon, hopefully this weekend, and hopefully get you know, some good patterns. I'm manifesting good patterns when I zero this rifle. Manifesting them now. And I say that, and this thing is okay. It's not stuck, son of a bitch. Manifesting good patterns now and great reliability without any tuning. You know what? That's just what's gonna happen. And anybody that's talking shit in my comments is gonna eat their words. Now that I've said that, thunder strikes right at that second, and no, I'm gonna be eating shit at the range. We'll see though. All right. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully next time I see ya, I will have put some rounds through this, or I am currently putting rounds through this. I'll try and remember to take my camera or my tripod. I'll have my camera, use my phone, take my tripod to the range, so that way I can kind of share the experience. I have tried to set up my phone at the range, and it just, even like a pistol, will vibrate too much and it'll just slide down. So trying to remember my tripod, that way give you guys, you know, maybe you can watch it blow up in my face. Hopefully not, but all right. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.